Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to, this is just inside the madness. This is something that would be happening whether it was being documented or not. But I figure I have the opportunity to document it, so why wouldn't I? People of the channel will know my fondness for this particular dirty little selection here. The Hobbywing Quick Run Fusion SE 540 spec comes in 1200 and 1800. The 1200, for whatever reason, I seem to prefer over the 1800. I like the 1800, but I don't know. There's something about the 1200. Like you can volt up and gear down and get a lot of low-end control. And what it did, and I have mentioned this before, and I should mention right now, the central topic of this requires that you have watched the quick view of the Injora brushed ESC, which is installed in this gentleman right here. He will be the workhorse du jour. There's the Injora speed control. You notice we're all hollow up front. We're desoldered. The old venerable Hako 936 is getting a workout today. This is his everyday power plant. And his everyday power plant has kind of, well, it has relegated the brushed motor to a place in the past, as far as I'm concerned, because that is $69.99, and that is a speed control and a motor altogether. Cleans up your wiring. You put it in, you never mess with it again. You might have to set motor rotation on a program card, and other than that, that's it. Runs in wet, runs in dry, runs in hot, runs in cold, doesn't care. So, for me to actually be delving into we'll get to this. There has to be something to this. In the Quickview, it was that motor and this Team Brewed Doomsday hand wound, which, on the one hand, I wanted to give this thing the best opportunity to perform. On the other hand, this motor was originally around $100. I had purchased it when they were clearing out on A-Main, so I paid significantly less than that, about half that. But still, I'm not recommending anyone go out and buy a $100 brushed motor, because I just took a Fusion out from in front of you. And if you take the Fusion at $70, this motor, 90 to 100, and then you're going to have to pair it, if you were shopping today, you would have to pair it with the venerable Hobbywing 1080. If you add the cost of a Hobbywing 1080 and the cost of that motor, you're looking at a Hobbywing Quick Run Fusion Pro, which is even nicer and has a bigger BEC and does all of these things. So what is the justification for running a brushed ESC and a brushed motor nowadays when we have Fusions? We have all those options. Well, for the one thing, this motor is my favorite brushed motor ever. The Surpass Hobby 540 plus V2, the 16 turn. I like the 16 turn and the 20 turn. These are 5-slot motors. I call them big blocks because they use neodymium magnets around the can, which allows them to run a larger rotor. So it's like boring and stroking a gas motor. And these are the epitome of smoothness, because 5-slot is smoother, but the bigger block gives it the torque that you usually lose when going to a 5-slot. I love these motors. Plus, they're gold. Also blue. NHX makes a blue version. Now, it is difficult for me to recommend this to people because this is about $100. This costs more than this. Is the performance better? This is very, very nice, and I like it a lot. But we can't ignore that this is $70. So, what we're doing here is we are definitively making an effort to stay well below that $70. As I had mentioned in the quick view, which I hoped you'd already watched, this is not available yet. I don't know when it will be available or how much it will cost. So for the purposes of this installment, we're going to assume that this thing is $30, right? I was debating, are we going to consider that it costs $40 or $30? We're going to go with $30 for the purposes of this. That $10, I'm hoping it doesn't kill what we're working on. Because, as I said, the Hako, the old venerable soldering iron, is gonna earn its paycheck for today. Because I have a row of motors here, which is here, out of frame, and is going to be in frame momentarily. And we are going to start from the absolute cheapest, and we are going to move up. We will not be testing this. That was the entirety of the Quickview was testing this motor. Plus, this one is the most expensive by a wide margin. I think it costs more than the bottom 4. Yes, it almost costs more than the bottom 5 motors combined. It's fairly close. So we were going to start with it. We're going to start with the motor I didn't want to start with. I will tell you why. This is the RC 4-wheel drive crawler motor, 55 turn rock crawler modified, sealed can 540. I have spoken out at length against sealed can motors. They're just more cheaply made, but one cannot deny that that motor costs $12. And if you, I have to assume that there are RC 4-wheel drives out there that come with this. So this motor might have cost you nothing. You might either have one in a rig or in a bin. Then we just jump. We jump straight up. See, if I stick 2 together, they won't roll away. This is the new-ish Hobbywing Quick Run 540. This is the 30-turn flavor. That motor is $17. At the time of purchase of this 30-turn, they only had this. They had one trim level of the 540 and one trim level of the 555. I bought the 30-turn. They now, of course, have a 40-turn, but I wish I had that one, but I don't. So we follow it up at the exact same price point, 17 American dollars. Yeah Racing Hackmoto V2 35-turn. So it's going to be a little slower than this, but quite a bit faster than that. And I said 12, 17, 17. We jump up $1 to go to Amazon and test our second 55-turn of the day, which is a Hobby Park 55-turn rebuildable can. You will start to notice, I hope it is apparent that these are all the same cans. They're not just the same cans, they're the same end bells, they're the same everything. The only difference is Hobbywing has opted to use black and red, and they just put green on both of the spring retainers. But we're basically we're looking at the same stuff. $18. We then jump up one more dollar, but again, no one is going out and buying this. Axial 540 sealed can 35 turn. Nobody's buying this. It's the same can, only they don't plate it. 35 turn. This is the stock. If you've bought an Axial RTR, chances are 9 out of 10 you already have one of these. There's no resistance to turning it at all. Like, it might as well not even have magnets in it. If you were to go out and try to buy one, they are $19, which is insane because you're looking at 3 rebuilt. You can get a Hackmoto for less, and it's rebuildable and nicer, and it has nicer brushes and a nicer rotor and bearings. This is going to be double bushings. We then move up. We're still under $20. We've only gotten to $19. We have 2 entries at the $20 price point. Crawlmaster Sport 550 13-turn, which should honestly be probably right around the same wheel speed as this 540 30-turn in there similarly. Also at $20, this one from Amazon, Surpass Hobby 550 35-turn, which is odd because ordinarily 550s, there's some sort of math that you have to do to equivalence a 550 to what the wheel speed is going to be relative to a 540, and I don't remember how the math works. I want to say that a 550 35 turn is a 540 27 turn, or it's the other way around. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. $20. We then jump up for the only 3 entrants on the list that are over $20. So one of them is the most unrecommended motor I could ever not recommend. I can't not recommend this motor strongly enough. The Reedy Power Crawler 550 14-turn 5-slot, the torqueless wonder of the world. And when I say that there's very little resistance in that, there's no resistance in this. It has no drag brake whatsoever in any application that I've ever tested it in. And with the SC480X, it is the worst power plant combination you can put in a remote-controlled vehicle, and I will stand by that. The Hobbywing 1040 variants and 1060 variants that are in other vehicles with sealed cans are still better. The 380 stuff that comes in a UTV 18 is more powerful than that. So, not recommended. And why is it all the way up there, you ask? Well, Team Associated / Element RC / Reedy, they sell that for $30. $30. Maybe it's happened. I can't imagine it having happened, but I don't think a human being has ever willingly purchased one of those. They just give them to you RTR in vehicles. Or worse, I couldn't find it because I would have thrown it in here. The Injora ESC, what this gentleman started as, he doesn't even come with the 550. He comes with the 540, which is even worse. No torque. It's like you've turned your drag brake off. So why that is even in this list is I want to see. This thing felt astonishingly smooth and astoundingly powerful on a $90 motor, as we would expect. So how is it going to do on the cheap stuff, the real cheap stuff? The only downside I consider to this test on the day is I don't have an Injora branded motor to pair with the Injora branded speed control. Though Injora doesn't make those. Hobby Park doesn't make these. Yeah Racing doesn't make these. Hobbywing doesn't make these. They're all Surpass motors. So I mean, you'll notice a commonality. Like this guy who'll be on the board last. Surpass. Run on the end bell. And look, there's that black and it's the exact same end bell that's on the Hobbywing Quick Run. And this guy gets the fancy cut vents. Well, they also... I've looked into what kind of electroplating this is to make it gold, and I haven't come to a tin deposition, I think. It's not anodized because it's steel. Anyway, one more motor in there at the $30 price point. This is the Team Brood Ravage machine wound, a 16-turn 5-slot. So honestly, all of these motors are going to be roughly comparable in terms of wheel speed, save for this one. So these two will be notably slower. This one will be a little bit slower, and everybody else is kind of going to be around the same speed. Because this guy, the final one up here, this is the one I really want to see. This is the out of the price range option, but it is so smooth and so controllable. And these are both 16-turn 5 slots, and I love my second favorite thing about today's testing round is that these will run back to back. This is not comparable to this. I've run them independently and individually, but never back to back. Let's get the shot of the end bells. On all those rebuildables, you'll notice it's pretty much just the same end bell all the way across. I don't like sealed cans. I think I used to say you can spend a little bit more money and do better, but now you don't even have to. Like these sealed cans cost more than all of these sub $20 options, so there's really no reason. And not shown in here because it's in another build. I do have one of the 555s, a 13-turn 555 from Hobbywing, and that motor would be right here, $26. So it'd be right in between these two. It's also a 13-turn, so it would be a little spicy for this guy. It would be the spiciest of the board. I also have an 8-turn version of this. A spicy. So this is the run because you might notice 2, 4, 6, 8, Testing 10. Let's try to keep it at 10 because I can talk a blue streak and a green streak and a wild streak and a winning streak. Any streak you can think of, I can talk that. And I'm going to have to figure out some way to mentally limit myself to how long we gabble and babble on each one. I want to see what this thing is truly capable of, because to cross over an analogy, a good insert can make a good tire great, but a great insert can't make a bad tire good. So, can what has in testing so far shown itself to be a superb speed control, which potential hot take, like the feel of better than a 1080. I know he said it. What can it do with the real cheap stuff? OE motors, sub $20 Amazon offerings. What's it going to do? And then what can it do if you spend that little bit of money? Because still, this, if we go off the estimate, this and this is $80, which is the same price as a Fusion SE 1800. So, like it or not, that's the measuring stick against which it will have to be compared. All these guys down here, we're talking a $50 combo. And if you can get a sub $50 power combo, like what if this works? That's like $35. $45? That's like $45. Sub 50 is the dream. Cheaper than cheap to the same price as a 1080. And we will definitely talk about the difference in feel between a Fusion and a properly good brushed setup. And what we're going to do is we're going to take them one at a time. Oh, yes. Man. Okay. For the purposes of pseudoscience, every motor here is going to be tested in this exact vehicle, in this exact configuration, only he will have his body on. He is running a 2200 3S pack. I have two of them. I will be checking the voltage as we go, and I'm not going to let him go below about 3.9 volts. He'll get batteries cycled through, so he's going to have fresh charge across the board. All the motors will be tested on this team-associated 18-tooth pinion gear, which is the smallest pinion gear that will fit in here. Now, we should, in theory, gear up 4 or 5 teeth for the 255 turn. For this guy, the 55 turn, this guy, the 55 turn. We should gear up to about a 22, 23 tooth pinion. Let's try to keep it a little more simple. We have our own dedicated motor plate to mount it up to. We're going to just solder up. All motors will be direct soldered, no plugs. So we're going to hot swap motors, film a sequence, drive it back, swap the motor out, do it again, do it 10 times. This is going to be quite an edit. There was one thing I wanted to look at. So we have 10 motors averaging 2350, and that gets blown out a little bit by the $50 guy. If we take that guy out, so 235 minus 52, $18. So this guy pulls him down. So we've got that high boy and that low boy, and then right here in the middle, we're talking about motors averaging about $18. So what kind of performance can you get out of $18? Let us get this guy mounted, soldered up, and then we test, do we not? The absolute beauty of the Injora SE platform for this reveals itself in a couple of different ways, which is it has the easiest to set gear mesh on the planet, because you set your gear mesh on this thing. You drop it in, and then you bolt this little cover down, and you're done. So it's 4 screws to take the entire thing out. Set the gear mesh while holding it in your hand. Now, he's had his motor put in and taken out so many times. I'm amazed that all the screws on the plastics aren't completely stripped out. And also, bonus, we have a conventional rotation. Positive goes to positive, negative goes to negative, and we go forward. So 55 turn. Oh yeah, that is pokey. That is going to be pokey. The 55 turn RC 4-wheel drive sealed can will be our first up. The $12 motor. We work towards more expensive. This, hopefully, barring catastrophe, this will be the last time you will see the indoors. You're going to see probably one setup. We are going to use the setup at Slick Rock and the Greater Complex at Dry Bone Valley, because it's where we test things. So I can test drag brake, I can test forward drive, I can test all those things, the smoothness, everything. We can see it all in one place. And setting up the cameras, and then, you know, I got to run back here and redo this 9 times. So I'm not going to give myself, I'm not going to put a minute limitation on anything. We're just going to try to keep it copacetic. Baseline is ready. I'm ready. I hope you're ready. 10 motors. Let's see what we get. The thing about a 55 turn is, now in the 3S era, with straight axles, it's still a reasonable amount of speed. And if you have a speed control that doesn't have as good of low speed control as this one, it'll help smooth that out, because your initial tip in is so slow. To get this guy to move at walking pace on this gearing, it's about 60% throttle. There is a definite, I have fresh in my mind the memory of driving the Doomsday, and there is appreciably less torque here. Let's see. Yeah. Probably not the worst that we're going to see today in terms of lack of torque. Again, so what I gleaned in the Quickview, I am doubling down on here. The smoothness. Now, yes, we have a potentially undergeared 55 turn 540, so we're gonna feel some proper smoothness. This, if it wasn't for that lack of torque, and as I said, we can't gear down anymore. The feel of the motor itself, this is almost acceptable, because we've got such fidelity on the trigger. It is not a smooth motor, though. It is surgy, not Sergey. It is like you feel like any amount of load on the motor. Let's see, and then nose down, drag brake. It'll actually almost stop. Yeah, nose down, for whatever reason, nose down drag brake is always a little stronger than nose up. Got a decent amount of pop for something of such a high turn count. So what I'm saying here, the takeaway on the $12 motor is, yeah, it's just not quite enough power. It feels significantly better than it would on whatever RC 4-wheel drive you're getting this in is going to have some variant, some OE tiered variant of a Hobby Wing 1040 or a 1060. This is a dramatic leap up in performance, but we've leapt up to a level where we can't change the DNA of the motor. We can change the behavior. The smoothness is increased radically, but there's just an amount of torque that isn't going to be there. We get some free coast. That said, it's certainly not awful. It's decently okay, but we can spend $5 more. We can spend under $20, and I'm sure we're going to do better. I don't think this is the worst we're going to do today, but I also am pretty confident it's not the best we're going to do today. So for the purposes of more direct comparison, I have set cruise control to 65%, and then I see how that feels against the walking pace walking back here. I can tell you that the Hobby Wing 30 turn is significantly quieter and definitely feels smoother, and it takes me up to like a brisk walk
Yeah, we had a sealed can 540, followed immediately by a rebuildable can 540. Oh, that's not great. It's definitely smoother, but that drag brake is very similar. Yeah, the power, there's more power, but it definitely doesn't translate into a lot more drag brake. That's a pass for me, dog, on that already. I like the smooth feel, but I wouldn't buy if I had the 55 already in the rig, I'm not going to buy this 30 to replace it. It doesn't feel better enough. I'm not sure it feels $5 better. Like, I'm more impressed with the performance of the RC four-wheel drive 55 turn than I am with this. Now, no. The drag brakes are so similar. Lower numbers on the turn count should mean more power. A 30 turn will be higher wattage than a 55 turn, but I'm not feeling it. I love that this kind of financially, the order of finance worked out, going $12, $17. We've got a $17 one right after this, which in my estimation is probably the same, almost the same exact motor internally and externally. The Hobbywing 30 turn, Quick Run 30 turn versus the Yeah Racing Hack Moto V2 35 turn. We'll just have a little bit less wheel speed. So I'm not anticipating a mountain of torque out of the 35 turn either. These are, I mean, both of these motors tested are fine. They're not recommended, but you know, they're not abject failures. That is significantly less drag brake than what I would anticipate. Now, if we're giving a point to the Hobbywing over the RC four-wheel drive, it's that it feels smoother and I don't get any more jumpiness, and we've dropped 25 turns. We've gone from 55 turns to 30 turns, and the smoothness, the initial tip-in smoothness is still there. So the speed control is still doing the work. We're just dealing with two motors that are, you know, this Quick Run 30 turn is an aftermarket motor that is a little tiny bit better than what you would get OE in an RTR. And therefore, yeah, sure, $17, but I get the feeling we can, once again, do better. The Hack Moto has brought to my attention at least one notable thing, which is the difference in open ground wheel speed between a 35 turn and a 30 turn is effectively negligible. I will say, though, that this motor, and we get the same mesh set in every swap. I'm not saying it's full Miley Cyrus, but there's definitely like a Lindsay Lohan, sort of a husky rasp to it. I have no explanation for that. There's a real whoa, 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 whoa. And let's see if we get the pause in the middle. Not really. We have, I would go on record as saying the worst drag brake of the three. Of the three early ends, this one is not the best. Now, what am I feeling in terms of throttle control, low end? It feels like it has less torque. It feels less torquey than the 30 turn. It sounds weirder. Yeah, it's not as smooth either. Yeah, if there's a mini Comparo inside the Comparo, if it's the $17 battle showdown. Who do you got? If it's Quick Run 30 turn versus Hack Moto 35 turn, the Quick Run takes this, and I don't really like the Quick Run that much. So we have a head-to-head battle of, I don't really care for either. This one sounds so weird. It is how I can tell that we're working with a pretty darn good speed control, though, because the throttle feel and the responsiveness is still right there. I can just focus. It sounds so weird. I can really focus on the differences of each individual motor. I have to say, on record, of the first three, making us 30% of the way through, the best one so far has been the RC four-wheel drive 55 turn sealed can $12 motor. I think there's a $10 motor out there, but we're going to just consider the RC four-wheel drive as the cheapest thing you can take home. And paired to this Injora, it's fine. It's infinite. It's the tiniest bit less controllable than these other two, but I mean, most people, if you have one, you probably didn't pay for it. Nose down. Little bit more nose down. Little tiny bit. But the tail down drag brake is bad. Yeah. Hack Moto also is a soft no. And it sounds so weird. The beauty of turn counts in motors is that they apparently don't mean anything. Quality of the wire, strength of the magnet, what have you. This thing is the Hobby Park 55 turn, rebuildable 540. It is unbelievably slow. Unbelievably slow. Full throttle, wide open, 100% is just walking pace. So this thing is definitely going to have the advantage of the super control at low speed. It definitely feels less torquey than the last two. It's got a little bit of the weird rat. I'm just wondering if, I usually have grease in between the intermediate gear and the spur gear, and I'm just wondering if maybe there's just no grease, so that's why we're getting a little more chatter. Gotta get that drag brake test in. Honestly, surprisingly, it feels less torquey in this operation. We're coming around here. You see that little... Obviously, I have to use more trigger input to get it to go where I want it to go because it is so slow. That's full speed reverse. That's wide open. So yeah, this to get anything more of the most out of this, you would have to gear up, but that's going to make drag brake worse. That felt awfully smooth. It felt awfully smooth. I don't know. I would put this one is, well, unsurprisingly, oh, here we go. Here's a revelation. The Hobby Park 55 turn, I would put in a virtual tie with the RC four-wheel drive non-rebuildable 55 turn. Let's get that nose down drag brake. This is slower though. This 55 turn is slower than the other 55 turn. Let's get nose down. Oh. That's the first one we've seen. That's our first. Yeah, look at, we stopped. We have 93% drag brake on that. This guy vaults to the lead. Oh, no, there we go. Never mind. I was going to say vaults to the lead. If I was going to put a numeric score on this, I would give him a 1/10 of a point over the $12 RC four-wheel drive. And therefore, at 66% of the cost, I still have the RC four-wheel drive 55 turn in first place. This is problematic. These motors are all, by the way, not great on a 1080 at all. And forget about a 1040 or a 1060. So Injora is doing a lot of heavy lifting right now. You just can't insert metaphor per set of a sow's ears. Insert something of the out of that here. Little Lindsay Lohan in it. Motor number 5, the next to the last of the 3-slot motors. This is the axial sealed can, which has come in, you name it, man. You buy a Honcho, you buy any, it's gonna have this in it. Some of them have white labels, some of them have green labels, they're the same thing. It's very quiet. Same pinions, same gears, same everything. I don't get it. One more 3-slot. I can't remember. There's one more 3-slot coming, isn't there? Or are we all 5-slot from here on? Is the first 5 all 3-slot and the second half all 5-slot? Okay, so it's very quiet, but it is distinctly less torquey. It is going to try to prove me wrong by drag braking, right? It's about the same. It's pretty much exactly the same. Maybe a tiny inkling less. The ground speed is nuts. I have to go, I have not touched the cruise control setting on the VR knob. I have to jog to keep up with this. This thing has wheel speed. Very snappy, but there is distinctly less torque than any of the previously tested offerings. We're not stalling out or anything. At least I haven't found a spot where I stall out. But the trigger, it feels like you have to go so soft on the trigger. And we tested a 30. The 30 was slower than this. The other 35 was slower than this. Again, turn count is apparently meaningless. The drag brake is very, very similar to the others. Almost indistinguishable, honestly. But the feel, it's way too fast. The sticker says 35 turn. The trigger feel feels like 27 turn. This thing is brisk. Let me get it over here. So 35 turn, right? It is saucy. The Hobby Park 55, that's basically its full speed forward speed. This thing's faster in reverse. Yeah, very, like, this is the least smooth one yet. In terms of just exuding joy, this one is doing the least. This one is not great. It is also the last. Is this the last of the sub 20s? Are we now hitting the $20 price point now? And back-to-back 550s after this. Yeah, I don't like this one. Which means, yep, RC four-wheel drive $12, holding on to first place. The ground speed on the Holmes 13-turn 550 is indistinguishable from the axial 35-turn sealed can. I had to put the same amount of pep in my step to be able to keep up with him. Oh, the sun has poked out from behind the tree. All right. Yeah, it just, like, you have to be so soft on the trigger. Yeah, we got more torque for sure. 100%. Not 100% more. I mean, I'm 100% guaranteeing there's more torque. Oh, again, revelations. A 550 is going to have more torque than a 540. Drag brake, but still not enough. That is slightly, that's 10% more drag brake than we got out all the 540s. Do I feel the smoothness? No. I think the Injora has kind of leveled the playing field in that regard. Feels pretty much exactly the same. I feel more torque. But but I can also stall it out. That's that 5 slot. There's a reason that I don't like these motors, and it's because they don't deliver on the 5 slot promises. Supposed to be smoother, like negligibly, particularly with this speed control. It makes the 3 slots so smooth, it basically negates the need for 5 slot, and then 5 slot loses torque. Let's see, nose down. No. That might be the worst nose down drag brake performance, particularly if we take into consideration that that's a 550. The rotor is 10 millimeters longer. Like, this is like swapping out the V6 in your car for a 351 V8, but it makes the same amount of power. This is a 1970s V8. Do I notice the smoothness? No, I just notice it being more snappy and uncontrollably snappy. This one trades places with the Axial in the one that has the least nice feel to driving it. The initial tip-in is so brisk that trying to get into that band where the torque is, I find myself having to use a lot more trigger modulation. Yes, unfair comparison. The Brood Doomsday Handwound, I could basically just cruise control crawl with it. The torquiness made it almost feel like an Outrunner or a Fusion FOC setup. This is not that. This feels negligibly better than the Axial 35 turn, which was my least favorite driving experience of the first 5. So I'm really interested to see what that Surpass Hobby. That's the other one that's 3 slot. There we are. So 6 3 slots, 4 5 slots. Yeah, it's fine. If you had no other experience and you weren't, oh, look at that rollback, and you weren't driving a whole charcuterie board of motors in a row, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. It's not really distinctly better than an Axial 35 turn. It's more wheel speed, but we don't need, it's more wheel speed than we need. 65% throttle is too much. It has too much wheel speed. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. I like it less than the Axial. I like it the least. It is 6th of 6. Amazon Surpass sealed can 550 35 turn. Let me tell you something. The Hobby Park 55 turn at full throttle was below walking pace. This is slower. This thing, I could put whatever the biggest pinion I can fit in there, 28, 30, you could run that. I mean, it has a little surge in. You're at a throttle point where nothing happens and then suddenly you're moving. But this is low. This is low and slow, man. Top speed is certainly under 3 miles an hour. And yet still, that is the best drag brake we've seen today. But it's not the electronic anchor yet. We're still at 20 bucks. This one is a problem. I mean, in a 550, higher turn count than a 27 is going to be proper slow. This is for guys who have no gear reduction. That's what this motor is. Like how the Red Cat Ascent came with a 42 turn 550, which is wild. And that thing, you remember how lightning fast that thing was if you've seen it. This is drivable because it is so slow. Here's full tilt boogie reverse. You're not going to be self-righting super great on that amount of rear speed. But This is we are moving in slow motion. Do you have a rock crawler? That you do you have a pass me around rock crawler? Do you have a small child? This is your $20 motor. We're talking wide open, somebody hammering it. Not fast. I don't know if you can get into trouble with this motor. I also don't know if you can get out of trouble with this motor, but like, oh, it's so close. We're close enough as to approximate genuine drag brake. Now you are exchanging for that. Now, some people don't like a lot of wheel speed. If you don't like a lot of wheel speed, you don't want a lot of wheel speed, this is your guy. Trying to get this position to see the nose down. Nose down's good. This is the best drag brake. The trigger feel is good. It's not fantastic because I feel like, I mean, you could probably dial in a little curve and tweak it a little bit. This guy is the new #1, and at $20, the first one of the group that I would actually recommend somebody buy. Just be aware, very slow. So if you have something that's a little too brisk, 35 turn 540. I'm sure Surpass makes a 27, and I would honestly say the 27 would probably be a more versatile choice. But like, are we rolling away? We are not. It is the first one. We had, is this motor 7? We had to get to the 7th motor before we could actually stop on a hill. Surpass 35 turn 550 moves into first place ahead of the $12 540, and it's the only aftermarket one we would recommend so far. It's very slow, but it's also pretty good. We've 3 motors left. So this is number 8, the Pallet Befouler, the worst rock crawling motor in the world. Crawler 550 14 turn. Let me tell you something, I have not touched cruise control since we got here. You have to run to keep up with this well, that's reverse. Forward, it's stupid. It's utterly stupid. This thing is legitimately the speed of a Titan 12 turn, a Slash motor. This is the speed of a Traxxas Slash. You could put this motor in a Traxxas Slash. The initial tip-in is you feel like you're going directly into 25% throttle. And as I said, it being the torqueless wonder of the world, yeah, it's got the worst drag brake by a mile. The RC 4-wheel drive $12 motor has markedly more drag brake than this. And the speed control, Injora is doing the work. We can get pretty low speed, but the motor has so little torque that you just keep having to feed it RPM. You have to keep squeezing the trigger more and more and more, and then it just rewards you with just so much wheel speed. Far more wheel speed than you could possibly use. This thing has to be a rebadge of some other motor. You can hear the it just you either have forward motion or you get bound up and you have nothing. And then you feed enough voltage into the motor and boom, you get a catapult launch. The ability to modulate is ghastly. It is horrible. Because the speed control is trying. Like, you're delivering the power. There's just so little torque in the motor. You can't do anything with it. You have nothing. Boom, and away you go. Yeah, that's the worst nose down by a country mile. Now, I mentioned this in another video, I'm not sure which. Let's see how much. you have to use so much throttle. It feels very smooth thanks to the Injora in there, but there's nothing. Now we got to remember, I said I hadn't touched the cruise control, but we're gonna go to right about there. Okay, we'll go down a little bit. So right now I have the cruise control set to 6%. Look at this. I don't know if this in the long term is good for the motor or the ESC. So cruise control is on. 6% throttle is being applied all the time. Now it won't help you if you need to use reverse, because then you're just gonna roll away. But we have the cruise control on the RC4 gives you drag brake plus, if you have a motor that rolls back, when we get onto flat, will we roll it all? A little bit. It can't save this thing. Nothing can save the Reedy Crawler. And this is the best possible situation for this thing in terms of performance. It's so bad. And now, if you buy this element today, it doesn't have a 480X in it anymore. It's got a 2-in-1, a FlySky 2-in-1 paired to the same motor, which is, to call it garbage insults garbage, because garbage has the potential to be recycled, and you can't do anything with this. Let's just so we're gonna what Element Y. I love Element, man. They have the worst RTR motor, hands down, of anything you can buy. Period. Full stop. End of list. The Reedy Crawler 550 is in the hallowed hall of detritus, alongside the Boom Racing Hustler, ISDT ESC 70, the real gold stand, the real brown standard of gear. It's just bad. The speed control is excellent, and it makes it feel pretty good when it's providing enough torque to actually make you do anything, which is not often. You will be able to self-right yourself out of a bucket with this thing, because it's all RPM and no torque, and I hate it. Bottom of the barrel by so far that you would have to just put an arrow below the Holmes and the axial 35 turn with an arrow that says see next page, and then this would be on there. And we close out with a pair of 5-slot 16 turn 540s. First, the Team Brewed Ravage machine wound, followed by the big block, which is what we'll close with. This motor on the flat ground comeback felt the best of anything today. I guess that 33% more to the price tag, the $30 price tag. Like, look at this. This thing, we're starting to get that delivery on 5-slot, where it is smooth. And in the past, paired to 1080s, I've never really been crazy about the Ravage. We've tried it multiple times and just not liked it. It has decent wheel speed, and about the drag brake that we're accustomed to. The drag brake on this rig on baseline with the Doomsday 35 turn 3-slot was like electronic anchor, full-blown electronic anchor. This drag brake is on par with almost everything else we've seen today, except for the 35 turn 550. Now the smoothness, though, it's almost something that I would be willing to forgive, because the ability to modulate with this is the highest of the day by a leap and a bound. It falls into that same pitfall trap of 5-slots, though, which is you're sacrificing torque for smoothness, This is the first, my first wheel. Oh, nose down drag brake is fantastic. We're doglegging. We're just hanging that out in the air. This is my first experience with a conventional 5-slot, decent 5-slot paired to this speed control, and the smoothness is outrageous because we've got the right amount of wheel speed. I just want that little bit of extra drag brake. This is actually an amount of, would I be willing to, no, I'm not. No. I want it all, and I want it now. I want the smoothness. This is, I don't know if I can emphasize it enough. The level of smoothness in this relative to the 7 motors that preceded it is incomparable. The trigger feel is fantastic. And you can get yourself into positions, and then because you can get the wheel speed so low, see if I can sidle that rear across. You can use every lug of the tire. I mean, this is what we're looking for. Now, recommended? No. No. We are either, based on guessing, $10 away from an SE 1200, or if they release this thing at $40, it's the same price as an SE 1200. It's not worth it. This is a superb speed control, and this is a pretty excellent 5-slot non-big block motor. It's definitely the best 5-slot that has been tested today. It just, I'm not willing to live with that in exchange for this. I'm at like 12% throttle. It feels great. It feels really, really good. It is the best feeling one yet, but not good enough for me to give it a recommendation. I'm still standing on the only recommendation I would give, and that would be for a very select circumstance, would be to buy that Surpass 550 35 turn, or if you can find it, a Surpass 550 27 turn, because that one's probably right in the sweet spot. You get a little bit of wheel speed, you still have a decent amount of torque. It has shown the best drag brake that we've seen on the day. This, I think, is probably acceptable to some. Well, we can probably go to like a 5%. Yeah, cruise control drag brake, and this thing locks. I mean, is that a hack? Is that a usable hack? Now, if I tested it in the long term and found out that it's not going to cause anything to overheat and blow up, basically being on the... This is a no-lag turbo for your rock crawler. Get your RC4, dial a little bit of cruise control in, and you have got active hill hold. This is how I want it to feel without electronic trickery. This motor is smooth as butter. Butter wrapped in silk. But we can do that, and then I push this button and we roll away. I don't know, some people might like that. It looks like I have active reverse on though, and I did not. That was just rollout. So I can't say, oh yeah, go out and get that. The Fusion is a thing that exists, and nothing here has felt like this. Feels great. Trigger feel is amazing, but it's not amazing enough to justify doing it. Particularly if there was a 1080 on there, because then now the combo costs more than an SE 1200. Are we not going to beat the SE 1200? The gold member is the only one that has any chance. The big bore 5-slot is where we're closing out, and I'm thankful because it's the only one that I think has any chance to be like, oh wow, that's actually really, really good. The end, the closer, Surpass Hobby, Surpass Rocket 540 plus V2 5-slot 16 turn. I can tell you this, it's about 10% faster than the 5-slot 16 turn we took out. It's a little more brisk, but it has the lowest low of anything tested by a significant amount. And you will notice a near FOC level of the ability to just keep wheels turning. Just not quite. Get the tiniest bit of roll. Which is unusual. Ordinarily, this guy will just stop. I'm thinking, let's dial it all the way back to like minus, I'm gonna go like 3%. Yeah. We go to 2. Nope, it's minus 3. If I set cruise control to 3%, we've got pretty much hill hold. The feel of smoothness is overwhelming. It's unbelievable how smooth this is. Again, I cannot recommend this. I can't say, oh yeah, you have to. The Rocket 540 Plus, the big block, is nice. It's what I have in all of my brushed setups here, save one. But that one is getting this one. That motor is going into the one brushed setup that doesn't have a big block. And I'm only running them in select applications that basically, without modification, won't fit a 550. They'll only, we're talking older design stuff that only fits 540s. It feels amazing. It really does. It has very nearly the performance of a Fusion. Very near to the feel of a Fusion. That's how much drag brake we're sacrificing. And that, honestly, for me, that's enough. The Injora has been great, and it was mind-blowing on the Doomsday Handwound, but the Doomsday Handwound's pretty darn good on a 1080, or probably, I bet we could hook it up to a Radiolink Cool 9030, and it would be pretty darn good at that as well. So I can't justify it. The Fusion is, at the end of this, the Fusion still stands up there as a killer of brushed setups. If you are on an extremely tight budget and Injora comes through, and I have no inside knowledge, so I have no idea. I don't know. If Injora comes through and this speed control is $30, then putting this $30 speed control into a vehicle fitted with whatever RTR motor it came with is almost a no-brainer. Because it will improve. Your trigger feel will get better, your overall performance will get better, everything will get better. It just can't perform magic. So, and in the callback, in the divine callback of this, just as a good insert can't make a bad tire good, a great speed control can't make a so-so motor great. It delivers. This is very good. The feel of this is very good. Ability to modulate throttle. It's all good. But, that's a $52 motor and an either $30 or $40 speed control. I can't imagine it costs more than $40. So we're talking $80 or $90 for the setup that's in there right now, and I'm not taking that over a Fusion SE. I'm just not. It's not. That's not a thing. So what have we learned today? I don't know. Did I self-fulfill my own prophecy that there's a reason that all that giant pile of brushed motors lives in the bottom of a plastic bucket that says brushed motors on it? Maybe. I don't know what the takeaways are, except that the standout of the day, Surpass 550 35 turn, felt great and is $20. It's unbelievably slow. And if you're willing to, it had the second best drag brake. This has the best drag brake. Nose down? Yeah, nose down, we just stop. But I can't say, yeah, run out and get it, guys. Get the little tiny bit of rollback. Tiny little bit of rollback. In a perfect world, I'm still looking. We're on the hunt. We're going to find it. We're going to find it. We're going to find the 50-ish, between $50 and $60 brushed combo that I would be willing to say, yes, this is a viable alternative to saving the extra $15 to $25 in buying a Fusion, but we have certainly not found it yet. And don't forget, if you're willing to do a little bit of legwork, you can put together a 35 amp AM32 and Outrunner setup for about $55 to $60. So that spot remains unfilled, too overwhelmed and dominated by the Fusion SE 1200. It's a shame. It's a shame. I hoped we'd have one that would just defy all expectation. I knew this would be good, and it is. I had hoped for somebody else, and it's the $20 Surpass. It's the only kind of stand. It's the only motor, and you all know I love that motor. That's my favorite brushed motor that there is, but I don't recommend them to many people at $52. If you have all the setups, if you've tried all the setups but you haven't tried that, then yes, try it. Try it with a 1080 or a BRXL or one of these when they come out, or a cool 9030 or something. And they are truly remarkable. They will ruin you for all other brushed motors, but and I still talk like $50 is overwhelmingly expensive. There are plenty of people buying $100 plus motors. So maybe they go, I'll just give it a try. Give it a try. But in terms of beating out a Fusion SE, no, sorry. And mind you, an SE will have a 24-tooth pinion in there instead of an 18 and still give you more drag brake. Same amount of control. We have some takeaways. I will allow you to interpret as you will. See how we all feel about it. I'm going to thank you at this juncture so much for watching. I have a lot of cleanup to do because we were just hot swapping. I'm probably going to have to order new trans case plastics for that XF at some point, because his motor mount has been put in and taken out probably, I don't know, 200-300 times at this point. Not a normal amount. Baseline is going to achieve ship of Theseus status at some point, where everything will have been replaced because he's just worn everything out. And science, well, pseudoscience. Did we learn anything? I don't know. Maybe. Does feel good. The Injora plus the Surpass feels the best by a long shot. Yeah, that's all I've got for y'all. So I will say, in between now and when we meet again, please, one and all, do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We'll see you next time here from the Canyon. Baseline has had a fairly long day. This was a lot of walking back and forth. Oh, I can check. Let me see. I've walked a mile. I've done 2,400 steps and I've walked a mile to do this one. So I don't know if it's going to be a good day, but it's probably going to be a long day. We'll see you next time, everybody. Baseline is out.